Good morning, everyone. We'd like to welcome you to the study session for the Mesa City Council for the morning of Thursday, September the 8th. I will note that all of our council are present. The first item on our agenda is to review the agenda we have for our Monday, September 12th meeting. So please, council, refer to that document.
Mayor.
Yes, Mr. Brady.
We have a housing board.
Well,
One first.
yes, we do. Let me get to that. Let's do that first. Thank you very much. I forgot we're convening a Mesa Housing Services Governing Board. So we'll do that before we start our study session. So welcome to our Housing Board meeting. I will note again that all members of our Housing Board are present. Item 1 on the agenda for this meeting is items from citizens present. Ms. Mosley, has anybody requested to speak for this meeting?
No request.
Thank you. Item 2 then is to acknowledge board minutes. Is there a motion to that effect? Thank you, Mr. Luna and Ms. Duff. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Thank you. Any opposed? That passes unanimously. Item 3A on our agenda is a presentation to take action on a resolution for the renewals of intergovernmental agreements to allow the City of Mesa's Housing Veterans Affairs Support Housing Voucher Program, affectionately referred to as BASH, for those participants to enter into leases in the town of Gilbert and Maricopa County. Great to have Mary and Rosario with us today. Thank you. I know you've spent some time explaining this to us prior to this meeting, and we appreciate that. But we look forward to the presentation.
Thank you, Chair and board members. We are here today to present a few things to you. We would like to start with the Housing Path to Recovery. That most of our programs fall within the last 3 items of that Housing Path to Recovery: the Bridge to Success, Affordable Rental, and the Independent Living. On the intergovernment agreement, this item is 3A. It is the renewals of intergovernment agreements that we had a few years back for our veterans to have additional options for housing opportunities. It kind of expands their search. They'll be able to find a unit in Gilbert or Maricopa County Islands in the East Valley. What that does is it gives them the additional options, but we still administer the VASH voucher. It is still Mesa's voucher. They just can live in those other units. We'll go and inspect the unit, do their annual recertification, just like if they had their unit inside of Mesa. So we are recommending that you approve, adopt a resolution and approve these IGAs for our veterans to be able to have the other housing options.
Thank you. Council, questions on this item? Yes, Mr. Freeman.
So, Mary, this is only in the East Valley, correct? Mm-hmm. I mean, we're not going to surprise Avondale, Goodyear, or anything.
Right, Board Member Freeman, yes. We're just staying in the East Valley for the convenience of our inspector and whatever to be in the East Valley. So since we're administering it, we don't want that administrative burden.
Good, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And Mary, just to reiterate what you said, we have more VASH vouchers than we have recipients right now. So this will help us to utilize these VASH vouchers, and this will also mean that if I'm a veteran wanting housing assistance in the East Valley, I don't have to come exclusively to Mesa. Mm-hmm. I can, if I have family or support group in Maricopa County or in the town of Gilbert, I can stay there and still get this benefit.
Yes, Board Chair, that is correct. This just gives us additional options. We have approximately 50 VASH vouchers available, so we do look forward to being able to house more, and with these housing opportunities, we believe that's going to help.
And the overhead for administering these vouchers is part of the funding that comes from the federal government, so we're not subsidizing something that's going on outside of our community.
No,
yeah,
correct.
To me, it's seems like there's no reason not to be enthusiastically in support of this. So thank you for doing that. This is an action item. So council, is there a motion for approval? Thank you, Mr. Luna. Thank you, seconded by Mr. Thompson. All in favor, please say aye. 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 Any opposed? Thank you very much. Next, our item 3B is a presentation and to take action on a resolution for the Housing Family Self-Sufficiency Program and Action Plan.
Right. And I'll turn it over to Rosario to present that.
Thank you.
Good morning, Chair and board members. My name is Rosario Beltran Joshi, and I'm the Housing Administrator for the City of Mesa Housing Authority. And I will be going over item 3B of the agenda. On June 16 of this year, HUD created a new family self-sufficiency final rule, which basically means that we are required to update our family self-sufficiency plan in order and submit it for approval to HUD in order for participants to enroll into this program. So what is the Family Self-Sufficiency Program? It's a voluntary program for Section 8 participants that helps families and individuals become self-sufficient and independent. Participants enter into a contract, and that contract outlines short and long-term goals, and that helps them towards becoming self-sufficient. And one of the best parts about this program is that escrow account. Any increase in the rents and the tenant's rent portion will be deposited into an FSS escrow account for the tenant's use upon graduation. At the time of graduation, the participants receive their full escrow account balance, and they can use this for any needs that will be associated with gaining self-sufficiency. And now that COVID restrictions are lifted, we will be doing in-person graduations, so we will be inviting you to attend the graduations for our FSS participants, graduates. The next are the major changes that had to be implemented into this action plan. This is a 5-year contract of participation, and the contract will begin after the participant's income increases. The contract termination, this doesn't happen often, but if a participant is terminated from the program, for the FSS program due to noncompliance, the forfeited escrow account balance that the family earned will stay with the FSS program. And in order for the family to graduate from the program and receive the escrow amount that they have accumulated, they must be free of public assistance with the exception of housing. Another change is that the escrow amount will continue to accumulate until the participant income reaches 80% of the area median income. And before it stopped at 50%. The participant was not able to continue to escrow after they reach 50% of their income, was 50% of their AMI. Thank you. This concludes this section of the presentation. We would like your approval on the required HUD FSS action plan.
Thank you, Rosario. Any comments or questions on this item?
So my question is, how is housing availability for all of our programs? Do we have adequate housing for these programs that we're discussing?
So the Family Self-Sufficiency Program, it's part of the Section 8 program. These are participants that are already housed and receiving assistance. It's a voluntary program, and they can choose to participate in this program. So yes, they are housed under the Section 8 program.
Okay. So I guess, and this circles back, I know we're on a different topic, but for VASH, do we have adequate housing there for veterans?
For the VASH program, we're working. We continue to outreach with landlords. This is a difficult market at this time. But we have a little bit of good news that I'll be going over in a little bit on.
Okay, I'll
yeah.
stand down. Thanks.
Thank you. Ms. Duff?
Yes, thank you for meeting with me before so I could go through most of my questions, but you know I'm always going to have more. So previously, these are changes. The 5-year contract begins after the household income has increased. So how does that differ from the previous program?
Yes, yes, thank you. It's different. Before, the contract started upon execution of the contract. So the 5 years started as soon as they signed it. Now they can sign it, but it will not start until the participant's income increases.
Okay. Are they working with a case manager or someone to help them so that they cannot be kind of stuck in this mode?
Yes. Yes, we have a family self-sufficiency specialist assigned specifically for the FSS participants. She coaches them, she meets with them on their long and short-term goals and refers them to agencies to meet their self-sufficiency.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Other questions on this item? Thank you. This is, again, for approval. Is there a motion to that effect? Thank you, Mr. Luna, seconded by Ms. Pillsbury. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. That passes unanimously. Item 3C is a presentation on housing program updates for voucher utilization, housing assistance payments, VASH vouchers, emergency housing vouchers, and the Housing Solutions Program.
Thank you. I will continue with the updates, the housing program updates. This next slide summarizes the last 3 years for utilization and our rent payments. Our utilization is low due to the market, but however, there is some good news. We just received the new fair market rents from HUD for 2023, and they will be in tune with the market, and we expect more landlords to participate and come on board. So there will hopefully, with the fair market rents increasing, we will have more units available and more landlords that want to participate in our program. You can see that the annual rent payments are higher. In 2022, we forecasted that we will pay a total of $16.7 million in rent on behalf of the voucher participants. And the per unit cost is the average amount of rent that we pay on behalf of the participants. In July of 2021, it was $769, and we are forecasting that by the end of this year, we will be paying about $875 per unit. A couple of other updates. We have 191 VASH vouchers assigned to us by HUD. We have used about 74%, which means we have 142 veterans currently housed in the city of Mesa. We get these referrals directly from the VA. So as we get the referrals, we work with them and we issue the voucher as soon as the eligibility is done. For the emergency housing vouchers, we have 61 leads and 18 that have been issued vouchers and are searching for a unit. We have over 45 files that are pending documentation so that we can issue the vouchers.
I think it might be helpful to explain, we have a huge waiting list for Section 8. On the other hand, we have underutilization of these housing vouchers. If a veteran or someone who qualifies for emergency assistance walks in, we say, we're so glad you're here. We've got a voucher here that's sitting in the drawer unused. Here you go. Good luck finding a landlord that will take it. But it looks like utilization is not as bad as I remember. It's in the 90s anyway. So, and I know you're working hard on that. Yes. Can you explain, if I know someone who is having housing difficulty, how do I decide if they're in that box, you know, that group where I can say, hey, I know there's a voucher waiting for you at the City of Mesa versus, oh, I'm sorry, good luck getting on the waiting list for Section 8?
If it's a veteran, they can call our office and we will give them the Community Resource and Referral Center. They do the intake for the veterans, and they need to let them know that they're interested in being housed in Mesa. As soon as we get the referral from the VA, we will, within 24 hours or 48 hours, we will contact the veteran and start the process for the eligibility.
Other than veterans, what are the other vouchers you have, the non-VASH vouchers, who are those for? Emergency
housing vouchers?
Yes.
Okay. For the emergency housing vouchers, the categories, there's an entry, a coordinated entry point that clients can call, and they will determine if they're eligible for those vouchers. They have to be at risk of being homeless, any domestic violence, homeless, and I can't. Fleeing trafficking or anything. They will determine if, and at the coordinated entry point, they will determine if they are eligible for this program. It's the same process. If they are, let them know that they're interested for the Mesa, and then we will get the referral and we will contact the family within 48 hours and start the process for the eligibility.
And do we have underutilization of those vouchers? Okay. Yes, I see your head. It's not in yes. Okay.
We do, and we have referrals. We have received enough referrals to fill those vouchers, but we don't have all the documents that we need for those families to be eligible for the program. So we're either pending documentation that is required by HUD, such as birth certificates, proof of income, that documentation. So we're working with those families or individuals to get them ready to give them a voucher.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
So, I was just to say, so we're missing the other huge category. Yeah. We hit the edges, veterans, emergency, because let's talk about the waiting list.
That's our
The
next
next
slide.
slide, yeah.
That's the next slide.
I just, the way the mayor asked the question, that
Yeah.
I want to make sure we
Right.
cover.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
that's it.
in some categories, there's reason for optimism, right? If you're one that, maybe a domestic violence victim, someone in crisis that way, we can say, hey, there's probably a voucher waiting for you. If you're a veteran, for heaven's sakes, please come and see us.
Yes.
Now we're shifting over to we're sorry, there's a huge waiting list. Let's figure out how to negotiate that system. Yes, Ms. Spilberg.
I know that we had a meeting about how dire the situation was of finding enough landlords to use the vouchers. So is that help, has there been anything that has helped that up to this point, or are we still in the same situation?
We're doing a lot of work. We have the Housing Solutions Program, which is the landlord outreach program. So we've done a lot of education, a lot of outreach with that. Something that has happened is we've had a couple current owners of properties that are here in Mesa that have said, we want to come and talk with you. One of them said, can we take you to lunch? We want to talk with you. And so Rosario and her team have met with them. And they said, we like working with Mesa Housing Authority. We want to buy more properties here. We want to be able to help Mesa. So we are finally feeling that it's starting to break open. And with the new fair market rents, the vouchers they're gonna be able to look for a higher amount of rent. So I think some of the landlords will say, okay, we'll take you now because your rents are up as high as what we'd like to get. So we feel like it's breaking open. It's been a lot of work the last couple of years. It's been tough. But I think this next year we're gonna see good things happen.
Because obviously they can get way more from a normal renter than they could from a voucher.
Well, not come
not-
January.
So that's in January.
Yeah.
It will be, okay, to the fair market.
The
Okay.
fair market rents are really, really close to what the market is. Usually they're 2 years behind when we get the new fair market rents. They're like $400 more than what they were last year. So significantly. The studio went from 1,052 to,
1,240 something of
Yeah.
mine. Yeah.
yeah, so significant. So we'll see. I think that this is the time that I can see things happening.
And so that's why they would rather work with the city, because if they can get the same rent, then they'd rather have something to back it up, right?
Right.
And we pay our bills.
We pay our
And we
bills.
pay our bills. Okay.
It's,
Okay.
For good credit.
yeah.
Yeah, I think the market is changing. I mean, there's more evictions now. For the last couple of years, there hasn't been a lot of turnover.
Right.
Right, but I think you're starting to see that churn a little bit, and so landlords will start looking around, well, wait a minute, if I've got a guaranteed, government source to pay my rent, and the rent's competitive, why not do that?
And that's part of the education. We have a form, a sheet for them, what's the benefits of being a landlord? And I think with the rents and those benefits, we're gonna see some big change.
Okay, so that was not an action item, so thank you for that presentation. Next, item 3D is a presentation.
What, we're not done yet.
Oh,
We're
I'm
not
sorry.
done.
I apologize. Thank you.
This is the slide that,
On the waiting list. Yes, I will go over this slide. It's the Housing Choice Voucher waiting list. We opened our waiting list last month on August 17. It was all automated, and the majority of the applications were submitted online, but we also received some reasonable accommodation requests for those that needed another accommodation, like a paper application or any other type of accommodation. We did a lot of outreach to announce that our waiting list was opening up. And the last time we opened, we received 7,000 applications in 2 weeks as well. And that took us 5.5 years to exhaust the waiting list. We had originally anticipated that we were going to be receiving about 10,000 applications this last time that we opened, and we went over that. We received over 20,000. And as you can see, 30% of those that apply are Mesa residents, 37% are chronically homeless, and 31% are disabled. This time, we're doing a lottery process. We're doing a random selection. So we're going to be selecting 4,000 applications to be placed on the waiting list. We anticipate that this will be a shorter wait time for applicants, approximately 3 years. They won't have to wait the 5.5 years that they waited the last time. And this is good because it will be a fresher list, and we'll be able to assist those that are on the waiting list quicker and get them to affordable housing.
Ms. Pillsbury.
Questions? Yeah, I think we're all stunned by the numbers when we saw these come out. I know the 4,000's completely random, right? Like they just get numbered 1 to 4,000, and then those are the only ones that are accepted, correct? So there's no weight given to a Mesa resident or a chronically homeless or lower income or anything like that.
No, it will be a random selection of 4,000, and then they will be placed on the waiting list according to our preferences, which our preferences are chronically homeless Mesa resident.
So I've attended a couple of like seminars, conferences where they've talked about this and why the lottery system's not always the most fair because of, you know, where there are ways to put weight on things. Like, have we ever looked into doing that so that those that need it the most could be the ones that are served?
With the lottery system, some of your disability and fair housing agencies feel like the lottery is a better way to go than date and time because someone who's disabled may not be able to get their
Yeah, I don't like the
application
date and
in
time
that first minute. So by doing the lottery, they feel like they're giving everyone the same opportunity to apply. We chose 4,000. It seems very low compared to the 20,000 we got, but we wanted that smaller time that we can assist families and individuals. But once that 4,000 is picked, then they're sorted, and we assist those who are Mesa chronically homeless first,
Okay.
those that are Mesa second, then chronically homeless, and those that are outside of Mesa. We looked in to see if we could do the preferences before the lottery, and right now that's not a regulation that we can do.
Okay, because I've heard of places that have figured out some way to do, I don't know what they call it, weighted or something that puts you more to the top so that the ones that really need it are the ones. Because we could get 4,000 that aren't even from Mesa or chronically homeless, right?
We're not sure because we haven't done it. So we don't know how it's going to work, and that's why
If
these
it's
numbers,
random, statistically, it should be 30%.
we're hoping
Statistically, it would be.
30%. Yeah, that's why we took these numbers pre-lottery, and then I'll have the percentages after we do that.
So when you say that after the 4,000, the first ones would be like the Mesa and chronically homeless, is that after 3 years? Is that when there's more
No.
funding available? Is that when some of those 4,000 drop out? Like, what does that look like?
So the 3 years is if you're the very last person on the list, it could take up to 3 years
Okay.
before we get to your name. Those others we're going to be pulling next month.
Okay.
And our attrition is about 20 a month, sometimes a little bit more, but that's the average. So
And so at that point is when you would start pulling from the list. So does the list of the other 16,000 people sit there for the 3 years? No.
No,
So how
they-
would you know which ones to pull from?
it's the 4,000 only. The other
Okay.
16,000 will need to
I thought you said after
apply.
the 4,000 we were,
4,000 will take us 3 years.
3
and then
years.
we'll start
Okay,
to-
maybe I
we'll do
Then we'll
another-
open-
do another.
so the other 16,000 go bye-bye. We send them a letter that says,
We will. We haven't sorted it yet because
Okay.
it just closed last Tuesday, and we're cleaning up the list to make sure we won't have any errors. They're going to get a letter that says you did not make the lottery, but we're also going to, for all of Mesa residents, we'll get a letter and get resources.
And provide
a
all
list
the
of
different-
resources that they can get assistance if they still need.
okay. And so if some of those 4,000 don't end up using it, there's no way to pull from, it's just, that's it, okay.
Just means we may go earlier.
The waiting list would end
Well,
earlier.
start- No, well, we start.
Oh, you'd
those
start
things.
opening it up
Yeah.
again?
Yeah.
To the next 20,000 people?
Right. Well, yeah.
And this is the first time that we have done this process, so a lot of it we're learning as we go, and it'll be interesting to see what the stats are.
Mr. Reddy, and then Vice Mayor Duff.
What was the previous process that was run when, in 2016?
That was by date and time.
Date and time, okay.
So instead of, as we were talking about the preferences, that the first group is Mesa chronically homeless, right now it'll be Mesa chronically homeless by the number that they were given. Before it was that by the date and time they applied.
Okay. And do we know, these are unique applications, is that with all members? I'm assuming there's families in these applications. Do we know like the number of people these 20,000 applications mean for this year?
For family and individuals,
As far as 20,000, this is 20,000 unique applications, right?
Right.
And so
Exactly.
I'm assuming there's family members within those applications, right? So
Yeah.
this number is probably around 30,000
Oh, probably
people,
double, I
right?
think.
40
or more,
Yeah,
or more.
probably 2.5,
Yeah.
3
times
people
of
per,
it.
I would think, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And then as far as on the increased market rate a voucher, does that mean there's additional allocation, or is that less money that we have for the current vouchers that we're gonna give out?
So the way the fair market rent goes is that it's published annually. We take the fair market rent and we can go 90 to 120% of the fair market rent for our payment standard.
Okay.
That payment standard is used to calculate what rent that voucher holder can look for according to their income and their household composition. And then it also is used to calculate what their portion will be, which is usually 30 to 40% of their adjusted income.
But is the federal government providing additional funds to meet that fair
I
market
see what
rate?
you're saying. I'm sorry, I misunderstood.
No.
If we run short, the slide previously said that we think we'll be doing 17 million, 16 million. If we run short, we can apply for shortfall
Shortfall, okay.
to cover that, because they want us to use every
Sure.
voucher we have.
Okay. Thank you.
Sorry, one more. I can't get over this 20,000 number. And I should have asked these questions yesterday when we met, so I apologize. Is it federally mandated that you have to open it up to the whole country or whatever? You can't just say Mesa only can apply?
Yeah.
Like that's a
Yeah, it
federal
is.
mandate, okay.
Is. And I just want to share one more thing. When we anticipated 10,000, what this 20,000 is telling us as a staff is this is not only people that are applying that are low income or are elderly or disabled on a fixed income. We're believing these are people, middle class, that are just not quite making it with the economy and the rent so high that we believe that we're seeing a whole different population as well applying. So it's telling you the need that's out there.
So I saw like lots of other cities in the valley posting about that Mesa was opening their voucher system. So how does that work? Like how often are other cities opening up their lists? And does every city have one, I'm assuming?
Once they exhaust their waiting list, they have to open their waiting list. I know Scottsdale's had theirs open about a month or two before us. Chandler was earlier in the year. I think that's it for this last 12 months. So it's you know, it seems like in 2016 we all opened, but it's sporadic.
Depending on when their waiting
Depends.
They
list-
follow the same process
Okay.
that we follow.
So it's the same. So Phoenix?
Yeah.
When was the last time they
Phoenix,
opened?
I think they had theirs open in 2016, and their list is usually for 10 years
Oh,
waiting.
okay.
That's why we didn't want that big of one.
Gotcha, okay, thanks.
Vice Mayor?
A couple of quick questions. I assume some people will apply to every city at every opportunity, right? And on the 20,000, I assume the application qualifies them as far as percentage income based on the information that they provide, and if they don't qualify, then the application would kick it out and say unqualified.
So this is a pre-application. It just puts them on the waiting list. Once they get to the top and we pull their name, we have them fill out additional documentation and provide us income, all of those expenses and things like that. If they're not eligible, then they're removed from our waiting list, and then each jurisdiction would have to do the same if they come to the top of theirs.
Okay, so the application probably like pre-qualifies them based on the information they're giving, and then if they're drawn or how qualified, you have a voucher available, then you would take that information and verify it.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Freeman?
So I learned yesterday that there's a residency requirement if someone's selected for the voucher. Is that right?
They have
In
to
Mesa?
live, they have to live in Mesa for 1 year.
Okay. So I think that's important to note, that if you get selected, you have to live in Mesa, and then after the 1 year, they can, what happens?
You want
Is there option?
Portability?
Yes. After that 1 year, is there option if they want to continue to live in Mesa or if they want to port to another city or another state?
Yeah, we hope that wouldn't happen. I hope they love Mesa after all that. I mean, after
We don't
all
like
you've done for
portability
them.
either. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
But again, just because these are federal dollars, we don't dictate who can apply for them, and we don't mandate that they stay in Mesa. We're just administering this, passing out these federal pieces of the pie, right?
Right.
Thank you. Mr. Thompson?
On the chronic homelessness, to receive a voucher, you have to be, you can't have a substance abuse problem, right, to receive the vouchers, or can you,
And
really?
we don't look into any medical or mental disabilities at all. As long as they're income eligible, and then a couple of they can't be a criminal, they can't be a registered sex offender, and those kind of things. That's all that disqualifies them.
So does that put some liability? I mean, you know, if you own a multifamily, an apartment complex, and you have a voucher coming in, and somebody shows up and they are an addict, I mean, honestly, as the apartment owner or manager, I probably wouldn't want that in my apartment complex. So
there's-
how do we work with those landlords and property owners for issues where you have the chronic homeless that do have substance abuse issues?
So there's two pieces to that. Thank you for that question. The first one is, this is for the assistance that we are doing the eligibility on. Each landlord has their lease criteria, what they do for everyone that applies for one of their units. They will still do that. So a lot of them get denied to live at complexes or a unit because the landlord's criteria will not allow that. And so it's a triangle. The voucher is between us and the participant. The lease is between the landlord and the tenant. And then between us and the landlord is the HAP contract, the housing assistance payment, that as long as they're abiding by the lease and the family obligations, will continue to pay the assistance. So it's really the screening from the complex.
So if the landlord screens and that person gets denied housing, what happens to the voucher? Does it come back to Mesa, or does that person just get to keep it and shop?
We issue the voucher for a certain amount of time, and they have time to continue to look for someone who will accept them.
Okay.
Thank you. Any other questions on this item? Again, that was just for information, so.
Yeah, and one
next-
more.
Okay, next is item 3D. Am I correct? No, you're still not done. I'm sorry.
So this one, I'll go real quick.
Okay.
We got notification last week that we have been allocated an additional 24 Housing Choice vouchers to add to our allotment that we already have, which is really good news. The emergency housing vouchers, we have 108 currently. HUD is getting ready to look at all the jurisdictions in the country where their utilization is. If they're not at 50% or more, they're going to go and take some of the vouchers back and do a reallocation. So we are over our 50%. So there's an opportunity that we'll get more of the emergency housing vouchers. Then a brand new voucher that came out was a stability voucher program that we just got notification last week as well, that those are going to go out to each jurisdiction. And so more to come on that. And what we'd like to ask today is just your support, a verbal support, that when these vouchers come up, that you are in support for us to agree upon them.
I'm sorry, the emergency housing vouchers you explained to us earlier, these are for folks like are in domestic violence situations or, you know, crises like that. Stability voucher program, what population is that aimed at?
That criteria is exactly the same as the emergency housing vouchers, but as a staff, we are looking into possibly using these for stability, those that are at risk of becoming homeless. We still have to figure out the criteria, how we would get that, where we'd get the referrals for those. They do not come from the waiting list. These are all referral basis.
Okay.
Does that help?
Yes, thank you. Mr. Freeman.
Yes, but I think, aren't you applying with other cities for this funding mechanism?
Not for the
Not
vouchers.
for the stability voucher program?
Yeah, that is the NOFA that we're working on with the East Valley cities for caseworker to help support
Okay.
this and also the path to recovery.
Gotcha, thank you.
All right. I'd like to keep talking about this, but do we have to move on to the next agenda?
No, you can talk about those vouchers or,
Why don't you move on to the next slide?
okay, housing solutions, we've already talked about that. We feel like we're getting a breakthrough with that. The landlords, we did have a temporary employee that went to another employment, but we're getting ready to hire a new one. So, there you go.
This is the marketing, working with landlords, correct?
Yes. Mhm.
Okay.
Working with the landlord. So we'll have a better update for this when we come back. Now.
Okay. All right. Thank you. So this is the next agenda item, and again, please update us. Again, congratulations on successfully, to this point, how much have we dished out?
Over 51 million has gone out to our Mesa residents for rent and utility assistance. Just one thing I wanted to note, I thought it was interesting to see this by quarter, but this quarter is a little lower because we've done some different with the program. Our priorities are a little bit different. We're assisting those that fall within a low income, 50% area medium income or less, and have had less than 6 months of assistance. We've assisted a lot of families, 12, 18 months. So now we're trying to find those that are just applying for the first time or who have not had many, many months of assistance. So the preference, the priority has changed, and so you will see that. We will have funding to get us through the end of the calendar year, and you will see an IGA from Maricopa County for that additional funding through December on another council meeting. So that's the end of our presentation. I just want to leave you with one quick feel-good story. This Sunday is National Service Day throughout the country, and I was contacted by Just Serve and asked if we had any projects that we may want to list for the service day, and we had mentioned that our veterans that are on our VASH program, sometimes the food stamps won't buy paper towels, toilet paper, cleaning, dish soap, laundry detergent, those kind of things. So we listed some items that we could do. And with Bethany's help, our volunteer coordinator, we had asked for 40 baskets, and the VA caseworkers were going to take them and deliver them to the VA. Well, we got over 45 requests, so we took it off. In our conference room, there is over 68 baskets, and we can probably build another 10 with additional supplies that have been donated. What a great effort, what a great response of our Mesa residents for our veterans. For the program, the VA came by yesterday and saw how many baskets we had, and the peer support, he got tears in his eyes because he couldn't believe how many we have. So I just wanted to leave that story with you, so.
Thank you. Before you leave, the last slide, I think, so tell us what happens to, on the eviction prevention efforts in our city in January. Do we just hit a brick wall? And at that point, if someone has rental assistance issues, we say, sorry, the pandemic's over, we have no funding. What happens?
So what all of the Maricopa County jurisdictions have a meeting. We're all trying to end our program at the same time. So all of us have decided that by end of December, most of us will be done with our funding. But Maricopa County has additional funding. If we receive the reallocation for that we have requested, we would like to partner with Maricopa County and do a stability program. Very similar to what we're doing, but they will have a caseworker assigned to them to help them. Are you overhoused? Maybe you need to be in a unit that's a little bit cheaper. Are you underemployed? Do you need to get services for daycare? And so we're looking into that. We haven't finalized that, but we're looking into going more to the stability to help them so they're more sufficient.
So it's being worked on, and it sounds like it's geared more towards assigning a caseworker in those situations. Will there be emergency rental assistance in January?
Mm-hmm. And provide them with services.
But will there?
It'll go back to the way it was before the pandemic.
And
Not that there's $0, but it won't be like we
Yeah.
have now.
So remind me what it was pre-pandemic.
So you have emergency, we had some amount of emergency dollars, right?
Mesa can.
Right.
Our partner with the New Leaf has the rent and utility assistance program, so that will be available as well.
We have the senior low-income utility assistance in the city funds. That will continue. It continues today.
Yeah.
Right, yeah, I want to get to utilities next, because I think it is important to note that that we had established, we'd made additional contributions to the utility assistance program prior to the pandemic, and then I think the pandemic came in and kind of flooded us with money, so that we kind of lost track of that, I think. So I want to remind people of that. But before we get to that, January, February, March, if I'm aware of someone who's at risk of eviction, do I just say, sorry, you better start packing, or is there a telephone number that I can give them? What's the answer?
So, Mayor, members of the council, so the answer is we don't know right now. That's the answer, but we're working on it. So we understand where you're coming from. We know we've got a lot of need. We saw those numbers that were coming in. We don't want to just kind of cut people off when the need is still pretty great. But what we are trying to do is find ways to create more efficiencies in the region and more partnerships. So what Mary was just describing is the existing program and using this time period to help people understand that it's coming to an end. But at the same time, we have requested some additional funding from the U.S. Treasury because there are some funds that are still available. So we're waiting for that answer. And while we're waiting for that answer, we're going to continue this program so we have a little bit more time, and the county's going to help us with that. And then we're going to just keep working with each other. And so if come, end of November, we still don't have an answer, we'll be continuing to have this dialogue regionally to see what other kinds of opportunities are available. The county has been an amazing partner, and they have a really good, efficient program. And the dollars, they have more funding than we do, and they're willing to continue partnering to make sure that not only the dollars in Arizona, but the dollars at the county are being fully utilized in our state. So those conversations are continuing, but unfortunately right now we can't give you an exact answer, but we can tell you the same phone number they've been calling for this program, they can still do that, whether it's today or January 1st, we'll get them to the right place.
That's great. I think that's a good message for us to communicate, which is that the MAG and at a regional level, we are more engaged than ever in homeless prevention and in homeless assistance. So yes, the the big amount of pandemic dollars is petering out, but there is now going to be a different process, some additional resources in place post-pandemic, so it's not a brick wall.
Right, and
Yeah.
as Mr. Brady said, we have our traditional resources that we're gonna continue pushing out there as well.
But Mayor, it's not a brick wall, but
Sure.
it'll fall off pretty quickly.
Yeah, I get it, you know,
It's-
there's going to
it's
be
kind of-
drastically less money available, but
Yes.
we just need to tell people, set expectations at whatever is realistic at that point.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about utility assistance. I know when we were discussing utility rates over the last several years, we've always wanted to make sure that we were generously funding our utility assistance program. And then the pandemic hit and funding utilities was just not an issue. We had plenty of funds.
Well, it wasn't, but we were still using our funds. I mean, it was an issue,
Yeah.
all right, and so.
So that little blue line I saw on the last slide, I mean, was that, if you could go back like one slide, there you go.
That is, the blue is the ERAP dollars that was used to pay utilities. If they got rental assistance, they got utility assistance.
So did we max out our City of Mesa account and then go to ERAP, or does that little blue dot does not include our utility program assistance?
No, it does not.
It's separate.
So how is that fund doing? How are we, I mean, do we?
Is that here?
Well, here's my question. What should we tell people post-pandemic,
Well,
beginning
we're-
in January?
It's got a campaign right now out
Okay.
there, letting people know how to qualify for the senior low-income, what do you call it? And I can't never come to the right acronym for it.
Good morning. We have an active marketing campaign for our limited income senior program. So that is folks who are 60 years old, who have limited income. I believe for a family of two, I believe it's about $3,025 a month. They have to be Mesa residents full-time. And they can apply through our website. And it's about a $9 discount per month on the water service rate. We also have the regular Mesa Utility Assistance Fund that we partner with Mesa Can on. That right now is $125,000 for the fiscal year. We have in previous years run that money out, and Mr. Brady has given us contingency, so we continue to watch that balance and see what's available. I know August was a very big month for that program. So we will continue to watch that balance and see what we can do.
So when someone's delinquent on their utility bills, we let them know, hey, you might want to check with us, see if you qualify for the utility assistance program. It's a needs-based program. So
Exactly.
if they can demonstrate financial eligibility, they
Yes.
are eligible.
Yes, Mesa Can does the qualifying for us. They look at the charts and the customer information, and they assign an award, and then they let us know to apply that to the customer's utility account.
Okay. And so things will change. We'll have less funds available for utility assistance beginning in January, but there'll still be a program in place that, again, not a brick wall.
It is going to be a rough fall. October 1st, we resume utility disconnects for those who haven't been paying their bill or able to pay their bill. And then we do have, as we've been talking about, less utility assistance funding available out there. So it's going to be a bit of a rough fall as we work through that.
But remember, we've allocated $20 million out of ARPA to help our electric utility customers.
Yes.
So that's been a huge lift for the last, how long have you been doing, a year, more than a year?
November of 21.
Yeah, so we've got another year, is that what we're guessing?
We hope to have funds yet through about the March of 22 timeline, maybe a little bit longer.
23?
23, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm sorry, August, I'm sorry.
All right, and I know we're about to start our discussions of utility rates in the next month or two, so
Today.
we'll get plenty of. Seems like we never stop discussing our utility rates. All right, well, I'll
And
defer that.
Chair,
Yes.
One more thing, DES, the state DES has ERAP dollars that will assist with utility only. They don't do rent for Mesa, but they'll do utilities for the state. So if anyone is in need, they can apply there and they will help them with utility assistance. They have quite a bit of money, so I am guessing that that will be into next year, probably several months, if not more.
Okay, I think we just all need to kind of retool so that we know what to tell people, because the COVID relief money is coming to an end, but there's still our resources. Vice Mayor.
So we have an ABC, I think it's called, is it still called ABC on our, where residents can voluntarily contribute money to those in need. Now, does that stay in the utility program as far as assistance?
Community Services administers the actual
Okay.
expenditure of those funds, and I think that's just part of their overall program.
Okay.
The ABC funds are part of the human services contracts that come for your approval during the application process.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Mr. Iridia.
On the graph here, is that capturing all the funds that we gave out? I know the first couple rounds of COVID relief funds had some rental utility assistance. Then we had a large chunk come in later, and then the county gave us some money. So is that capturing, I want to say,
This
there's
is
more.
the CARES dollars
Oh.
for rent. We didn't help with utilities at that time because Ed had his utility program going on. So this is the CARES and all of the different pots of ERAP money that we got throughout the last 2 years.
And this is residential, it doesn't include all the CARES dollars we did
No.
for businesses and the utility systems
Mm-hmm.
we did for them.
so that was
On addition to this.
in addition to this,
Yeah.
right? Okay. All right, thank you.
All right, any other discussion with these ladies? Thank you very much. You do a great job. And again, I'm always pleasantly surprised by how much assistance you're able to get out the door. And we're evolving into a new normal now, right? Post-COVID, it'll be interesting to see how we can continue to address the needs of the city with more limited resources. So it'll be a challenge. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think that, council, concludes the agenda for this meeting. Is there a motion to adjourn? Thank you, Mr. Luna, and seconded by Mr. Thompson. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Thank you. That passes unanimously.